yeah, so basically we'll spend like 45 minutes on coding problems, and I'll keep like last 10-15 minutes for feedback.
Sure.
So yeah, here is the first question. Yeah, so basically you have a linked list as an input,
Yep.
uh, the head of a linked list as an input, and there are few definitions like a critical point is any node in a linked list which is either local minima or local maxima.
Yep.
Local minima is a node which is strictly lesser than its previous and the next node, and local maxima is a node which is strictly greater than its previous and the next node.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so given a such linked list, you have to return two things. One is like minimum distance between any two critical points
Yep.
and maximum distance between any two critical points. So yeah, so go through the question and the example. If you have any doubt, let me know.
Sure. Okay, so the problem is that we want to return the min distance and also the max distance between any two critical points. And so if we just have a look at this example here, is so a local maxima is if current node is this would be a local minima. Then 2, 3. This would be a local max, and then this would be local min. Is there any other ones? Seems like that's the only ones. So do we know? Is there guaranteed to be any local mins or local maximas?
No, it is also possible that there is no or less than two critical points.
Yep, no critical points. Also, this is we're linked list. We're using linked list, and is there any limits on the size of the linked list?
You can assume that it fairly fits in memory. 10 to the power 5 should be enough. Yeah.
Okay, 10 to the power of 5. So n will be 10 to the 5, 10 to the 5. Cool. And we're given. Yeah, so I'm just thinking in terms of solutions. We can do this in a single pass, because if you notice with a lot of these local mins, the min distance is always going to be between consecutive. So min distance will be between a consecutive critical point. And then max distance will be between the last and the first critical point. So we can do this in basically O and time, and pretty much I think O one space if we do it like this. So essentially we pass through, we look for the first critical point, and then we keep the position of that point, and then we keep the position of the previous and store that as the min, and then we go all the way to the max. So is my understanding correct here?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like me to code that one up?
Sure.
So I'm going to be using Java, so I'm just going to write, so I'm going to assume we're going to return an integer array with those two outputs, and then going to write the function signature, which is, I'll call it distances, and then ints, we're going to be given, sorry, I'm going to assume that we're given a public class list node, and this node has, I'm assuming it's a singly linked list, so it's just going to be one way, so it's going to be list node next, and then int val,
Mm-hmm.
Can I also, is the input possible to have an empty list?
Yes.
Okay, so in that case, I'm going to assume that the empty list is going to be represented by null. So we will have to
Mm-hmm.
handle that. This node, and we'll just go ahead. And so we are going to be given, so I'm just going to write a few initial test cases. So what null is going to return, also this would be good to try as well. And then also just maybe just like a single element, what we return in that case. So we need to, so let me just focus on the max distance for now. And then we can return, think about the min distance later. So with the max distance, we want to take a look at, we want to loop through. So we want to have the prev value set
Mm-hmm.
to something. I don't know what yet, but then yes, and so we just while loop through while head is not equal to null. We set the so prev value is just going to be set to head dot. Actually, what we can do is set this to a class integer, so then we can say is if it's null, then we don't worry about it. So if prev value is not equal to null, then we can do some stuff. And so after this, actually we're going to create a list node current is equal to head, and so we can traverse using head, using current, sorry, and current will be current.next. And then if prev value is not equal to null, then we can check if prev value is less than head, less than current.val, and we can check if current.next is not equal to null and current.next is current.next.val is greater than, greater than current.val, then we know it's a local maxima. So it's a local maxima. So we can set the integer, and we also need to extract the positions. So we also have position is equal to 0, and then increment positions. Position, increment the positions, and then we also want the position of the leftmost critical. Set that as an integer, and so if this, we also want to check if it's a local maxima. I think what we could, I wonder if we can create a helper function that checks, in this case, if it's a local maxima. Oh, we can do that actually. We'll do that. So we'll do private boolean is critical point, and we need to pass in the prev value, and we also pass in the list node current, and so we can, I will implement that later. It is critical point prev value, then we would set leftmost critical equal to current.val, oh no, position, sorry, position, and then also we also want the integer rightmost critical, and we would always just set rightmost critical is equal to only if, we'd actually set rightmost critical here, cool position. And so okay, sorry, if this is this would only be set if leftmost critical is not equal to null. Then we would set this in there. And so we know that now the min distance, so we can return new int min is going to be rightmost critical minus leftmost critical. So those are the positions. And I'm going to assume that the distances if it's like 2, we'd have to plus 1 because it's the positions. And if it's like, in this case, if we have a look at this example up here, this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first critical point is at 2, and then the last critical point is at 5. And so the total distance between is it 4 or is it 2? Let me just double check. There are 2 critical points. The second node is a local maxima because so this is second node, so 2 and 5, and so the distance is going to be 2 minus 5. Okay, so we don't plus 1. Okay. Okay, so does that look okay in terms of for the minimum distance? Hello?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the code.
Okay.
Critical point position. Yeah, yeah. I think at least like for happy case, it does look okay.
Oh, sorry, I forgot current.current.next. Okay, so I'm going to now do the now we want the integer, we want the previous critical point. And so now we'll just make a comment here. So calculate the min and max distances. So the max distances. So this is for that, and then this is for calculate the minimums. Actually, I realized that the max distance is after, so this is actually, we'll add like a to-do here, but then there's one more here. All right, so now that we calculate the minimums, if prev critical, sorry?
No.
So if it's not equal to null, then we can do a calculation, and so we would do int min for now, and then we maybe set that to integer.max value, and then if we can add to the same thing here. So if min is, so if let's say prev critical point minus current dot position, so the current position is less than min, then we can just set min is equal to prev critical point minus position, and then otherwise we say prev critical point is now equal to the position, and then we just return the min here. Cool. So does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm just, I think like, yeah, this is good. Let's write a code for is critical point.
Sure. So now, if so we know prev value is not going to be null and current. We first need to check if current.next is equal to null, then we already know it's not going to be a critical point. So that's an easy one to just tick off.
Mm-hmm.
Then we want to check integer. Then we can say integer.next is equal to current.next.val,
Mm-hmm.
and then we could say if. So we'll do local maxima. If prev value is less than current.val and current.val is greater than next, then we can return true. And then we also local minima. I'm going to assume that if both, if current.val is equal to next, then that doesn't count as a local maxima.
Right.
It has
Yeah,
to be
that's good.
strictly.
Yeah, it should be strictly, yeah.
So now we can check if it's a local minima, is if the current.val is less than prev value and current val is less than next,
Mm-hmm.
then we can return true. Otherwise, we can return false.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be that. Would you like me to run through an example?
Yeah.
Sure. So if we just have a look at this, so we're going to track position, and also we want to track, let's track position for now, 0. And we want to track, let's say, prev value. Is that null at the start? And so at the start, prev is null, so we don't do anything. Then we set prev value to, it should be current.val. That's what it should do. So now it should be 5. And then we increment position to 1. And then move current.next to 3. Then current.prev value is not equal to null now. And so we check if it's a critical point. In this case, 5 is greater than current.val, but next is not greater than current.val, so we don't do anything. And then we increment prev val to 3, position to 2, and then current val up to 1. And so now 1, the value previously is less than prev value, and the next value is greater than, greater than current.val. So now we have a local maxima, it's a critical point. And so in this case, we set leftmost critical to the position, and then rightmost critical to also to the position. So rightmost critical is 2, and then leftmost critical is now 2. And we also, prev critical point is not initialized, but now it is. So prev critical point is now 2. So after that, we just move on. Position moves to 3, prev value is 1, 2 is not a critical point, so I'm just going to move on. 5 is going to be a local maxima. So, yep, that should now, and wait, positions, I forgot to increment position actually, that's not correct. It shouldn't be 3, it should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, it should be 4. So now it is a critical point. So we don't set the leftmost critical now. We set rightmost critical to 4. Then we now have a minimum. So prev critical point minus position, which is 4 minus 2 is 2. So now we have min is 2. And then and then prev critical point, we put that to 4. Then we would increment that again to, now position is 5, prev value is 5. And then at this point, this is also a critical point, it's a local minima. And so we set the rightmost critical to 5, prev critical point to the position, sorry, we set the min, which is 4 minus 5. That's less than a min because it's 1, and so we set min to 1. So the answer is going to be 1, 1, and then rightmost critical minus leftmost critical, which is 3, which I think is the answer. Yes, 1, 3. Also, what should I do if we don't find a minimum? What should I return?
So if you don't find like, you should return -1, -1. If there are less than 2 critical points, you should return -1.
Yep. Okay. So if we don't find a minimum, then we should actually return a maximum. So if integer dot min is equal to integer dot max value, we should set min is equal to -1, so that will return a -1 here. And then with rightmost critical, I think if rightmost critical is equal to null, then we want to set, let's say, int max is equal to, we want to set integer here, or we can set max equal to -1, and this is only if we find, if there's one critical point, does that mean that the distance from the max distance is going to be 0?
No, it should be -1, -1. If it's less than 2 critical points, it should be -1, -1.
Yeah. Okay. So so we have to also check if leftmost critical is not equal to rightmost critical. Then max is going to equal rightmost critical minus leftmost critical. Otherwise, it's going to be -1, -1, and so that is going to be -1. Oh, sorry, max. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. I think, yeah, this should work. Yeah. Let me just get a second question for you.
Sure.
Yeah, but I really like the way how you wrote a modular code with a different method for condition for checking critical points.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
This is the second question listed at the top. So you have an array of integer and you have to return true if it is a valid mountain array. And the definition of a mountain array is like this. It has at least 3 elements and there exists an index I such that elements are strictly increasing till that I and elements are strictly decreasing after that. So both increasing and decreasing part should be non-empty.
Sure.
So if you look at example number 1, it has less than 3 elements, so it's not a mountain array. Example number 2, it's increasing, but then it's not decreasing. The decreasing part is not there, and that it's not, there is a repetitive element, so it's not a mountain array. Whereas in example number 3, it's increasing from 0 to 3, and from 3 onwards, it's decreasing at the end, till the end. So it's a valid mountain array.
Okay. So I'm going to assume we're going to be Boolean return, and it's only if it's a mountain array. And so I'm assuming that there's going to be some peak in here, and then there's going to be essentially a ramp up and then a ramp down, essentially.
Yeah.
Is my understanding correct there?
Yeah, that's the right way to describe it.
Okay. And I'm going to assume that, can I assume all the elements are going to be valid integers?
All the elements are to be
Like valid integers?
yeah, valid integer. Yeah. They could be positive or negative, but yeah,
Yep.
they are integer.
All inputs are valid integers. I'm also going to assume that all integers can be in the full range, so 2 to the 31, all the way to 2 to the 31 minus 1. And I'm also going to assume that all the integers will be able to fit in memory, like the whole array. It's not going to be too long. That's going to be an issue.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Okay. So I'm kind of thinking is that if we basically, I feel like we can do this in two passes. Is if essentially we check first to check how the first point to which it stops increasing, and then second point from the end inwards to which it stops increasing, and then if these 2 points match up, then we have a mountain array. If not, then we return false. Is my understanding correct there? So we robot. So I might just create like an anti-example.
Yeah, I think this is a right approach.
Yep. Okay. 2 and then 1. But let's say we add a few more numbers like -1 and like 0, maybe like -20 and -5. Okay, so I'm just going to assume some tests. So we know that also I see that array.length is going to be greater than 3. So we know that there's at least 3 elements in there. So we're going to think this is going to be a good one. And then we also, it must be strictly increasing. So that's also part of it as well. So that was a good test case. Maybe this one would be a good one as well. 2 and then like -10. So I'm going to do public boolean is mountain array. I'm going to assume we're going to give in an integer array. And then we want to look at whether, so we want to start from int I is equal to 0 and I less than, let's grab n, int n is equal to array.length. I is less than n, and then we add. Then we check array I. Well, we want to just loop through until we find the last element. Which is like first peak, you can kind of think about it. And so you want to check if array I is less than array I plus 1, and we need to -1 to n minus 1, just so we don't get an index out of bounds. And if this is true, then we can say first peak is equal to I plus 1. And we keep doing that until that isn't the case. If it's either equal or less than, then we just break. And then we know that that's the first peak. And then we can say int peak from end is equal to, let's say, n minus 1. Then we for loop through int I is equal to n minus 1, I is greater than or equal to 0, and then I minus minus. We want to check if array I, oh sorry, it's not less than or equal to 1, it's be less than or equal to, not 0 but 1. And then if array is less than array I minus 1, then we know that there's going to be a peak from end. Peak from end, it's going to be array I minus 1.
Okay.
And then we check if first peak is equal to peak from end. Then, oh, we also need to break, sorry. So it must be the first one from the end. And then if peak is, we just return true. Actually, we can probably just return this now. Just return this boolean. And that would get us that. I do want to just make sure, like if we have something like 5, 5, 5.
Right.
In this case, the first peak is going to be set at 0, and this is going to be set at 2, and then this won't be that. Oh, but then also, if we have something like this, the peak is actually going to be set to 2.
Right.
So this is a bug. So
Right.
I suppose what we can do is set this to n, and set this to -1, so that if it's not increasing, then it won't ever, then we know that it's not possible. So in this case,
But like, okay, but like you are increasing, but then like there, you need to handle it within the for loop also, right? Somehow.
so as in,
Okay, no, your pick from is not dependent on its previous value. It's dependent on the value of I. So yeah, I think yeah, it's
yeah,
okay. But should it be I plus one or should it be I only?
because I'm thinking if this was like a mountain array, then
Right.
if we check, so we check I is equal to 0, and then technically 5 is considered the peak. So we would set it to I plus 1, because we check if I plus 1 is greater than I. And so the first peak will be set to this. So FP is going to be set to that. And then peak from end is going to be set to I minus 1. And
Okay.
so that's when it would overlap.
Okay.
Would you like me to run through an example?
Yeah.
Sure. In this case, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so we would start with first peak. FP is -1. Actually, we'll slide it out. -1, and then peak from end is equal to 7. And then we would loop through I. Is this element less than? Yes. So this gets set to 1. Then we would go through here. This would get set to 2. Move through here. This would get set to 3. And then up to here. And then at this point, we would break. And then we would loop from the end and then check, is this element less than I? Yes, it is. So we set this to 5. Then this is less than, yep. So then we put this to 4. Then to check 4, so we check 4 minus 3, so 4 minus 1 is 3. And then we check if that's 3. And then we would go to here, and then this is the first element that doesn't follow that constraint. And so we would return this equals that. And so that would return true. If, let's say, we had a situation where we had like 3, 3, I think this, in this case, this is an invalid mountain. And so we would get to this stage, and then first peak is going to still be 3, but peak from end is going to be 4, because we get here, that gets set, but then we go here and we don't do anything. So in this case, it's false, which is correct. And so if there's any other elements in between here as well, that'll catch that as well. I think that's it.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. What are different test cases that comes to your mind? You don't need to run them,
Sure.
but yeah, what you should think about.
So some test cases, definitely int min, int max are good ones. Also want to test with a high number of array elements. So like all the way to 10 to the 5, as we discussed. Would be good to have a high number of elements and all it's and like, let's say all increasing and then all decreasing, and then a valid mountain, let's say in the middle. Some good other cases would be also is if it was a mountain that was peak was 1 from the left, mountain peak 1 from the right, mountain peak like bias to the left, and also bias to the right is also good ones. And
yeah, I think these are the set of test cases.
Cool.
Yeah, I think like these were the only two questions I was planning to ask, and like you completed it before 5 minutes. So yeah, let's pause for feedback. I think like in both of the questions, I really like the way you approach them. You did not rush through the solution. You made sure that you understood the problem statement. You asked the right clarification questions. For example, in the first question, you did ask like, um, yeah, what should be the case if there are no critical points? What should be the case when there is just one critical point? Yeah, so I think like that is like very good thing about like that is very good thing you did in both of these problems. Also in second problems you did clarify about like with few examples like is it a more valid mountain array or is it not a valid mountain array. You made sure that you understood the problem and then only you thought about solution. And when it came to solutioning part, I think like not only your solutions were optimal in terms of time and space, but I also like the way you described them. So you articulated your solutions in like more like easy to understand way. So yeah, so like spot on communication. And yeah, I think like during coding also like you made sure that you are communicating what you are trying to do. It was easy for me to follow what you are trying to do because you were talking while you are writing code like I'm trying to do this is the reason I'm doing this. So yeah, so it made the interview more interactive. So yeah, so thanks for doing that. Yeah, and I also like the way like without interviewer asking you to analyze the complexity, you analyze both time and space complexity. which shows a maturity. Like you do care about not only solving problem, but you do also care about efficiency of your solution. And that not only came through like complexity discussion, but the way you make sure that like your code is modular, your variable naming conventions are good. That also shows that you do respect for quality. So which is a good thing at a like intermediate level engineer. You're just not writing code for sake of it or solving problem for sake of it. You do care about efficiency and quality. So yeah, I think like overall, like it would have been a strong hire call for any SD2 kind of a level. Yeah, for a meta like FAANG like companies. So yeah, so
Um,
I think like we
so
did.
so like, would you consider? Because I'm not too familiar with the levels. Because I know like Amazon has like like a 4 and a 3 level. Um,
Mhm.
like would you say that that would be okay for like a level 4 or?
Amazon SD like software engineering level starts from level 4.
Oh, okay, level 4.
Uh,
Yeah.
it starts from so the university graduates will be hired at level 4.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, based on this interview, I'm also okay to hire you at level 5, which is
Okay.
SD2. Yeah, which is
Okay.
which are supposed to have 2+ years of experience.
Yep. Okay. Um, cool. And would that also apply for like Facebook L4 and or
Yes.
I think Facebook E4 and then
Yeah.
Google I think
Uh, Google, I won't. I'm not sure,
yeah.
because question level. Like I also taken interviews at Google. I wouldn't ask these kind of questions for if I'm hiring for Google. I would
Yeah.
ask little difficult. But yeah, for Facebook, I can say that this is the question level, at least for coding,
Yeah.
because they focus mostly on speed and accuracy, not on a difficult algo challenges. So yeah, so I'm sure about Facebook and um, like Amazon, but yeah, with this interview, I cannot confidently say about Google.
Yep. Okay. Because I've heard Google tends to ask questions where you're supposed to kind of get stuck and like
Yeah,
work through
so
it.
and then also like so in Google you can expect like just one problem in 45 minutes. That is also okay there. So yeah,
Okay. Cool. I had actually one question. Um,
sure.
it's it was around. Let me just take a look. Um, if I actually get a question I've already solved, actually, would you recommend me to mention it to the interviewer?
Uh,
Because with these two questions, I haven't I think I've seen it somewhere. I haven't solved them, but I think if I did get a question I have solved, I would probably mention it.
Personally, I do think like you should tell interviewer
Yeah,
that you have seen exact if it's the exactly same question.
yeah,
But yeah, so but I have seen like friends of mine who have been not like they neither accept or deny it. They just say that okay, this is a solution. What do you think? Is it right or wrong?
yeah. Right,
Uh,
and they've passed the interview with that as
yeah,
well.
yeah. So I have like so and I don't think they are doing anything wrong because like yeah, they are doing wrong, morally wrong when they have been explicitly asked that have you seen this question and they deny it.
Yeah,
That is morally wrong. But if nobody's asking you have you seen this question and you didn't do anything, I think like it's not wrong. But yeah, I personally don't do that. I usually do tell that I have seen this question. Uh, yeah.
okay, cool. Um, and then I have just a question that's not really related to um, interviewing specifically, but because I'm currently in Australia and I know there's some jobs. I'm not too familiar how I'm not too sure how familiar you are with jobs in Australia, but um, would you recommend like me moving to another country that's a bit more software has a lot more software jobs, or would you say um, like where I am is fine?
Um, like this is my story. Like I am basically from India,
Yeah,
and I have worked in London also, because of the same reason as you're thinking about. I
yeah,
was also having this fear of missing out, that I'm not working on cutting edge things and like that, right?
yeah,
And I was in London for a couple of years, and I don't find a lot of difference, at least in terms of quality of work, as compared to what I was doing in India and I was doing in London.
yeah,
Uh, and also, like, on a personal front, I did miss out on some significant events in my family because I was there.
yeah.
So I'm not proud of my that particularly of that decision.
Hmm.
So yeah, that is my personal experience. But I have seen friends who have moved to states, who have moved to United States, and they are pretty happy about uh, not only the quality of work, but they are also happy about the job opportunity or the number of recruiters reach out to them as compared to their home country.
Yeah,
So
because
yeah,
that's what
so
I was thinking. Like, should I move to the States? Is
yes.
that something that would be possible? Um, but I do know there's like some weird stuff around. If I move to the States, I think I still have to pay Australian tax, which might be a little
Oh,
bit
there
weird
is
for me.
no tax treaty between between states and Australia.
But yeah, I
Is it?
think there is some sort of tax treaty, but I think it's not as if like you can like completely get away from paying tax at all. I think there's some
Yeah, so I think like the tax treaty is like this, like you have to pay the maximum tax, whatever. So basically, if you are, let's say, in Seattle,
mm,
and the overall like federal and the state tax comes out to be 33% of your salary, but I
yeah,
know like Australia charges 40% of your salary,
yeah.
so you have to pay the difference between 40 and 33. That is the 7% of income you have to still pay in Australia.
Oh, okay, but I still don't have to like pay extra on top. It's not like
No, no,
33%
you
and
don't
then
have.
33% on top. If I did that,
That is
I don't know if
my
I would be able to
understanding. Like,
survive.
yeah, that is my understanding. But yeah, you can always cross check like with things.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I might have to do that. But if that's the case, I think that'd be pretty worth. If I don't
Yeah,
get
and I
taxed
I
anymore.
do I do have an idea about salaries in Australia, taxes in Australia, and the expenses in Australia,
Yeah,
and similar things in US. I do feel like you would. I also like I do know for sure that you will definitely save more in states as compared to you would save in similar job in Australia. So not only about the opportunity wise, but at least on the paper also, financially, by doing the same thing you would be doing better. By doing
oh,
the same work
interesting.
in the same company you would be doing better in states. Yeah,
Right, is that because of like the high incomes in the States?
I think, yeah, I know the
Yeah,
salaries of US and Australia. I had a Amazon Australia offer. So I did some digging around taxes in Australia and cost of living in
yeah.
Australia. So I do feel uh, um, there would be a significant difference between the saving in absolute number you would save in Australia compared to uh, absolute number you would save in States.
And then if you had to recommend like cities in the States that you would want to move to, what would you say?
It
Seattle, I'm
depends on
assuming is
like
one.
it depends on like what are you looking out for. If you are looking out for a good like it depends on what stage of life you are.
Hmm.
Are you a bachelor? Are you with a family?
Because
Or you
I'm
are.
at about I'm pretty much like single and like pretty happy to just like fully grind it out and live wherever and whatnot. So that's probably where I'm at.
Okay, so you are still so if you move to states you would be moving alone, right? Not with a partner
Yeah.
or family.
Nah. Yeah.
And like if you are in that stage of life where dating is important to you, I would recommend New York is a good city because like you will get a lot of different kind of like options in terms of dating. It's more cosmopolitan, and also it's like more mixed in terms of kind of job people do in New York.
Yeah,
Like
right.
there will be
Yeah.
people from fashion, there will be people from uh, editing, there would be people from finances, there would be people from tech.
Yep.
Whereas in California or Seattle, you would mostly find people from tech or like uh, yeah. So basically, if you are in that stage of life where like dating is important, like for you,
Yeah.
I think like New York seems to be a good choice.
Yeah,
Um,
right. But
Not.
I suppose like if I'm not really thinking about dating at this stage and just kind of
Mhm.
focused on my career, then you would recommend California and Seattle.
Yeah. So anything between California and Seattle, I would recommend.
Yep.
Personally, my choice would be Seattle because like Seattle has no state tax.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So like a person would end up saving more in Seattle. The only downside is like Seattle is has more gloomy weather, so you will see lesser
Yep.
sunlight as compared to California. So if
Okay.
that is
More gloomy
important
weather.
factor for you, then you should go for California. Otherwise, Seattle is also decent.
Okay. And so what does no state tax mean? Does that mean like I still have to pay federal tax but not state
Yeah,
tax?
you still have to pay the federal tax. So
Yep.
basically, so a friend of mine who is in California pays up to 37% of tax on his income.
Yep.
Whereas a friend in Seattle pays up to 29% of tax.
Oh, so that's a full like 8% difference
Right.
um in
But yeah,
Seattle.
the caveat is like companies do know this, and there is a difference between salaries offered in California and Seattle. But I do still feel like um, the stocks and everything is same, so you will still end up saving more in Seattle.
Yes, okay. So no state tax, but more gloomy weather, and then California. Um, cool. And I'll just bring it back. 8 to 9
Um, yeah, but
percent difference, like 7 to 8 in some cases. But I should follow up on how tax treaty works.
I'm just sharing you one link which would be helpful for you to get an idea around salaries or compensation in different companies in different cities
Okay.
as per the level. Um, I have pasted in your uh, chat. So you can you can decide, choose the company, you can choose the level,
Yep.
and you
Okay.
can filter based on the location and everything.
And so those levels, because I think I've seen this website before. Would you say that they're pretty accurate?
Are you saying the levels or the compensation data?
The compensation data.
Um, it's it's pretty decent. Like I have cross-checked my offers against,
Yep.
and I have seen like this range. My offers around this range only.
Yep. Okay.
And
Cool.
there is another app you might be aware about, Blind, which you can use for any such questions. For it's an anonymous app, but you have to log in with. So you can download it and you can anonymously post your questions. And I have seen people usually answering all these questions.
Oh,
So you
interesting.
can
Okay.
yeah, so you can ask like these questions like rather than taking like one guy's opinion, right? So you can create a poll like, what do you think? This is a like I have seen people creating posts like sharing their stage of their life and creating decide giving the options like what is the right choice for me, is which city is right choice for me. So you
Yeah.
can take I've seen people doing that. So yeah, you can do that also if you want to do a thorough research before making a decision.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, and let me just post the link for that too. Yeah, just while signing up, you have to mention your country as US. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah,
Yep.
like you are currently in US, so
Okay, cool. One thing that I do kind of I'm thinking about at the moment is that is it worth to like move to a city preemptively? Like if let's say I go through these rounds of interviews and I don't pass any interviews, would it be worth to, let's say, get a remote job, move to America? Because I'm assuming that that interviewers would care about where your location is at the moment, right? Like they would prefer if you were already in the city.
mm, personally, I don't have much data around it. But I do feel like if you can, if you all are already in that country and there is no hassle of sponsoring your visa transfer and getting you through, because that process will take like 2 3 months at least. And if
Yeah,
you're already there available for to join the job in next 15 to 20, 30 days,
yeah.
you will definitely have more calls or more interviews lined up. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, like people who are in those geographic locations are gonna like have more of an
Yeah,
advantage.
but yeah, I don't have personal, yeah, I don't have any personal data or backing story against this. Like, I don't personally know any friend of mine who did this. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I do feel
Um,
this. This is my gut feeling. Yeah, not a database backed
yeah.
fact.
Because I feel like if I do apply for American jobs, they will like technically have to sponsor me, right, in order to in order for me to actually work over there.
Right.
Because it's not as if like I can just go and work there, right? It has to follow the proper process.
Right.
Okay. Cool. Let me see if I have any other questions.
You can always select to share your contacts. So in that while writing feedback, in that way we will get each other's email, and you can write your questions offline also. I'll try to answer them over email.
Okay, I would appreciate that. Actually, that'd be great.
Sure.
Um, and then and so, do you think that in terms of where I'm at the moment, like I would be ready to start applying for interviews?
Yes.
Okay. But then I would also, because I haven't actually taken a look at system design and behavioral, so I'm assuming I would have to um, practice that a lot as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. And would you practice like behavioral interviews a bit less than system design? I'm assuming that's kind of where, or would you practice it as much as system design and algorithmic questions?
I will design. I will have just couple of. I think like I personally think like couple of behavioral practice should be enough.
Okay. So it's not something that I should practice as much as algorithmic questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then would you also practice like system design as much as you would practice algorithmic questions? Like it's on the same level of importance.
Definitely at your stage, as you have just couple of years of experience, I
Yeah.
will definitely recommend to practice as much as algorithm.
Okay.
If I'm targeting like L5, L E4 at Meta.
Yeah.
If I'm targeting E3 at Meta, then no system design would be asked. But if you are targeting E4 at Meta, I think like yeah, I would recommend having as much practice as algorithm.
Okay. Cool. And I think just one last question. I don't want to take too much of your time. I think it's almost an hour now.
No, I do have
Um,
it, right? So I'm okay to stay if you have questions.
okay. Cool. Do you know if like Google, Meta, and Amazon are hiring at the moment, or do you think that they're slowing down, or what do you how do you feel about that?
I do think like things are picking up.
Okay.
I at least see my LinkedIn. In my LinkedIn, I'm still seeing like recruiters reaching out. So I think like 24 would be um, would not be as great as 21, But it would definitely be better than 23.
Okay, cool. Let me see. In terms of like how would you actually apply to
Mm-hmm.
these companies? Do you have like a specific process you follow, or do you tend to do companies tend to contact you? Like what usually happens there for you?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't get the last
So
part.
in terms of like what happens before you actually interview, so how do they get you the interview, or how do you get the interview? Um, do you usually like
Okay.
apply on the online portal, or do they usually contact you, or what do you usually do?
Sometimes I have reached out. They have reached out to me on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Sometimes I have reached out to recruiters from those companies on LinkedIn. Sometimes I've asked like friend of mine working there for a referral. I think I never got. I tried applying directly on the website
Yep.
few times, but I never got a call through that.
Yeah, I've
But
heard
yeah,
that
but
like
I didn't do much. Yeah.
yeah, I've heard like the application like going through that the online stuff is like pretty much like a black hole.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like once you have my email address, and like, I think I can also help you with few referrals. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. Awesome. I think honestly, I'm really grateful for the interview and also all the all your answers at the end as well. That was really helpful as well. I've been like pretty stressed out, and that really kind of put me at ease.
No worries. Yeah. Happy New Year, and I wish all your career aspirations get fulfilled
Yeah,
in this year. Yeah. Bye bye.
awesome. Thank you. Happy New Year.